Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of something new that I'm trying out, and I hope we'll stick around. So this is Bran Awareness. This is a little bit of a vlog series thing I want to try doing just while I play some video games and have some footage rolling in the background of whatever random game and just talk about whatever topic I want to talk about. Um, this is very similar to a thing I used to do on my channel called Unfound Door, which I took those down just because those were a bit more of a personal thing, and I was considering of just restarting that back up, but I don't know, I kind of want to go for like a different feel or more of a focused topic oriented approach with these. And I guess I should introduce the footage here. I'm playing a little bit of Front Mission. Very underrated strategy RPG series, I find. I've been delving it a little bit into the first game, which you're seeing here, which there's an official DS translation to, but this is the SNES fan translation I'm playing here. And then also the most famous entry of the series seems to be Front Mission 3 for PS1, which I've also delved a little bit into, and really fun game. Highly customizable stuff, which that's kind of my jam when it comes to RPGs, is a lot of options and stuff like that. And yeah, just really fun gameplay. Might actually be up there for me in terms of favorite strategy RPG series. It's just I need to get further into them before I can definitively say that. But yeah, that's not what we're talking about. So we're going to be talking about something that's a little less fun. So recently, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice came out. I saw it. A lot of other people have seen it. Uh, yeah, it's a total shit show. It's such a I'm not even gonna say it's bad. It's painfully mediocre. Is I think the is what I want to go for. Um, I was gonna record a review, but I honestly couldn't be bothered to. My only real thought is that Man of Steel is a movie that is so bad and gets so stupid that I can kind of appreciate it because if you treat the final part of that movie as like a Dragon Ball Z action sequence, it kind of becomes hilarious. And also, just that movie is just full of Superman's parents just telling him the dumbest shit that doesn't make sense, and it's pretty hilarious, honestly. And I kind of actually think that while it is technically a worse movie than Batman v Superman, because it's so dumb, it's actually more entertaining to watch. Batman v Superman, I think they kind of toned down. Well, there's plenty of stupid shit to laugh at, but it's just they improved on Man of Steel just enough to get to that point of like that 4 out of 10 point, but it's just the most painful 4 out of 10 ever, where it's not so bad that you can constantly laugh at it and be entertained. It's just fucking boring. I actually kind of wanted to walk out. Um, yeah, not it's just terrible. It's just terrible. And while a lot of critics will agree with me on that, according to the Rotten Tomatoes score at least, um, there's a lot of fans that are really intensely defending this movie. I don't know how many of you go on Twitter, but I mean, I guess you could see just on the internet or social media in general, a lot of people really intensely defending this movie with a lot of ridiculous reasoning. And like to be completely honest, I don't really mind if someone likes the movie. I can't see how personally, but that's totally their opinion and that's fine. But just a lot of the reasoning, like a lot of the statements these people are making, just like baffle me. They apparently baffled me so much that I decided to make this video series partially in response, which is ridiculous. But the first thing that kind of has been bothering me is actually this one has a bit of history behind it. So the first thing that we or one of the first few things that we heard about, in terms of audience reaction and stuff, was that a lot of people involved with the film apparently were worried that the general audience reaction might not be as welcoming as they wanted it to be because the movie was going to be too smart for them. And they kind of subtly not so subtly, I should say, implied that Marvel fans are just like really dumb and like because those movies are fun and lighthearted and kind of popcorny actiony flicks. Even though, to be completely honest, some of the Marvel stuff does get a little more deeper than that. But let's just play along with the stupid reasoning here for now. Yeah, they just figured that this movie is too deep for them. Sure enough, the movie comes out and it's actually not really that deep at all. Like it's kind of like reading a middle schooler's first persuasive essay where like they kind of have an idea of what they want to talk about, but then the rest of it's just garbage and you can't understand it. It's kind of like that level of writing. So then the next step from there we go is that we have a lot of and to be fair, this isn't so much people that are involved with the movie, but a lot of the people who do like the movie going, well, the reason the reception is so bad is not because of the it's not the fans. The true fans love the movie, but this isn't a movie for critics. This is a movie for a general audience. However, clearly it's not apparently for a general audience because it's too smart for them. But also, it's not for critics either. So the only people who are apparently allowed to like this movie, or that do like this movie, are the super fans, the people that are dedicated, hardcore fans that really truly love everything involving Batman and Superman. So it's this really weird medium elitist attitude thing and like it kind of devolves to the point where anyone who disagrees with them have this like tinfoil. That's kind of how everyone that gets angry about reviews or anything nowadays on the internet does their thing. They get the tinfoil hat on and then say that any major outlet or reviewer or critic that disagrees with their opinion on a thing, is being paid off by someone else, or like there's some sort of conspiracy going on because heaven forbid that like actually someone just has a different opinion than you. There has to be like some crazy monetary reason because that's how the world works to some people apparently. I don't get it, but yeah, like there's just this really bizarre notion that like if you're a hardcore fan of DC that you have to love this movie. Now, to be completely honest, I'm not a hardcore fan of DC. Like I've read Hellblazer quite a bit, but that's mostly because like it's just kind of like an occult detective-y thing that kind of interested me. That like really my experience with comics outside of like that Hellblazer stuff and a bit of Batman, like I got nothing. I watched the movies. I watched some of the animated movies that they put out too. I think those are kind of neat. But like, yeah, I don't really. I'm not much in the comics fandom, so I guess maybe I'm just not a hardcore enough fan. But I even with my limited experience with comics, I could kind of tell that like man, that movie has like almost no reverence or respect for the core virtues and like ideas behind the characters that are in that movie. Like Batman straight up uses guns and kills multiple people multiple times. And I know like he's done both of those like in the comics before, but like I don't know, like aren't movie adaptations of this sort of thing kind of supposed to give you like a pretty solid core version of the character? I don't know, but I would have thought Batman maybe wouldn't be a mass murderer. I kind of figured I could get that. Superman's just an idiot. I don't really. Wonder Woman has no character, but like apparently despite all that, you kind of need to just like love the movie or else you're not a fan. So I guess I'm not a fan, I guess. But this is just a notion that's bothered me forever because I feel like fandom is kind of this toxic thing where uh there's just this general hive mind mentality that goes with things where either you need to absolutely love these things that are like commonly held up and respected, and you need to hate the things that are commonly put down, and like you can only stray so far before like you get called out and you're not a true fan anymore, that sort of thing. And it's kind of like a thing that honestly has been bothering me for a while, and like I don't know, like I kind of used to consider myself part of like maybe Megaten and Gundam fandom and stuff like that, but in the past like year or two, I kind of strayed away from that mostly because I feel like fan communities for stuff tend to be fairly toxic more so than just general communities for like a medium. So yeah, I kind of just like I'll consider myself a fan of Final Fantasy, but I wouldn't consider myself a member of Final Fantasy fandom, if that makes sense. I just don't think that's like a necessary thing for enjoying something. And like I said, like you can only go so far with it before like people start to like question how big of a fan you are, which is just the stupidest idea, honestly. But I just really hate this idea that you can't be a fan of something but also like criticize it. Like some people seem to think, and this mostly seems to be like the case I'm talking about now with the Batman v Superman people, like you can't ever criticize something or else you're not a fan, or you can't dislike something that's put out or else you're not a fan. And I think that's really dumb because I think if you actually care about something and you actually have an attachment to something, you would want to call out the shitty things and you would want to have your voice heard to influence and hopefully improve the material for later installments, whether or not it's by the same creator. I mean, if who knows if Zack Snyder will still be making movies in this universe, but even if he's not, I'm sure that the creator that comes after him will have to look at all the shit that's going on right now with the reviews and stuff and all the things people dislike, and they're going to have to address it somehow. I mean, even Batman v Superman itself, they try to address some criticisms of Man of Steel, but they don't really like get what was wrong with that movie, I don't think. So like you still have a lot of the same mistakes happening, but then like they'll cut to Anderson Cooper being like, "Oh, luckily, the city is abandoned right now, and like it's kind of a ghost town because a lot of people complained that Superman caused a shit ton of collateral damage in Man of Steel." But that's not like the real problem. Like the real problem was like just a lack of acknowledgement or like a lack of any sort of common sense on Superman's part. It wasn't so much the fact that like he was causing the destruction itself. It was just like the movie failed to reference or deal with it in any sort of capacity, and it really should have. Uh, yeah, and also like Superman is still Jesus in this universe, and like there are crosses everywhere, and it's really ridiculous. Yeah, I'm gonna try and stop shit talking the movie now. I just can't help myself. But the other thing I wanted to talk about that I noticed is actually to do with another YouTube channel I watch called Geek Evolution, and they're more into the comic book side of things, but I follow them mostly for like well they do some like Star Wars stuff, and you know they get involved with like movie and general nerd fandom stuff, and they usually for like comic book movies and stuff they'll do like a panel discussion thing, and one thing that I noticed in their latest panel discussion for the Batman v Superman movie is that the guy who kind of hosts the channel, his name is Captain Logan. He originally actually had a positive reception to the movie, and then it kind of like after a while, and he kind of cooled on his initial high. He started to realize that that movie had serious flaws, and he actually didn't like it as much as he initially thought. And like a lot of people in the comments are just like really angry and saying like how can you change your mind, or like how can you let other criticisms change your mind and like influence you and all that. And this is another thing that kind of I guess has less to do with fandom but is just something I've noticed with internet criticism stuff as a whole. There's this weird notion going around that I think has probably been around for a couple years now, but like a lot of people seem to think that like right after you see your movie, like you kind of need to like form your permanent thoughts forever on the thing, and you can't change them ever, or else like that's somehow bad, or like you're lying to yourself or something. When in all actuality, what's the point of criticism or intellectual discussion about a piece of art or creative output or something if we don't ever change our minds? Like, isn't the whole point of like critiquing something kind of to let people know how it is and maybe sometimes change how they view the thing too. Like I don't see I don't really understand what the point of criticism is if no one's ever allowed to change their mind on anything ever. I think that's just a really dumb idea. I know for sure there's a lot of stuff that I initially liked or disliked, and then upon, reading other people's thoughts on it, changing my mind completely. Hell, Man of Steel, even. Like, I saw that movie, and, like, I didn't think it was, like, great or anything, but like I was like that's okay. Like that was really stupid at some points, but that was okay. And then like later on when more and more people talked about what was wrong about that movie, I realized how much of a piece of garbage it was, but like I just feel like that's a common thing that I'm kind of surprised people don't reference more. Like I think it's kind of dumb to just think that people's opinions can't change on stuff after some sort of discourse or discussion about it, because that kind of, in my mind, just invalidates the entire idea of criticism in the first place. And I personally don't see any value in discussing things on the internet then if you're only allowed to form one solid permanent opinion that can never change ever about a movie. That's just dumb to me. Um, but yeah, that was just a little ramble that I wanted to get off my chest because Batman versus Superman fans are not very bright and tend to make really dumb arguments on the internet that I feel they need to respond to for no real reason. Yeah, I'll probably do more videos. I'm gonna try and not make these vlogs uh, me ranting about dumb things like this one kind of turned out to be. Sorry about that. But yeah, this should be fun. I think it'll be a neat little way for me to discuss things other than just on Twitter where not everyone always sees them or, can be kind of just lost in the cluster of the stream of social media. But yeah, this was fun. So this is the first episode of Brand Awareness, and I'm heading out. Have a good one, guys. Bye.